Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my fourth show. I hope everybody still enjoys it and have fun listening too. Be honest, I like sharing my views and opinions to others. I feel there should be more people like us out there. As I always say, knowledge should be freely shared to everybody. Please open your own websites and YouTube sites and upload your own shows and reports. BBC and CNN and all the other medias do not show different views and opinions of events happening around the globe. It is always one-sided. This show will talk about scientists and their pioneerings. As I said in my third show, scientists are very important so that economy is sustainable in every country worldwide. Without science, we would have poverty and famine. I will explain the reason for this. This show goes in depth about science and how is it linked with economics. First I will go into history and then I will mention the current scientific interventions which scientists set up. Let's go into the past, 1850. In 1850, Germany had a very strong economy and Germans were well off due to their interventions. Before 1850, farmers had to use horse and carriages and their own hands to harvest their grains and crops. It took hours for picking and looking after their fields. The demands on shop were growing and growing. Populations seemed constantly to rise and increase. Farmers could not keep up manually. Nikolaus August Otto in Germany invented engines, which was extraordinary development. Farmers can achieve more for less time. Business wanted more cars, vans, tractors. Business in Germany was great and sustainable. New developments cut labor and cheaper for productions. Factories in industrial areas have been built due to engines. More production and again less labours. Coal, chemical products, iron and steel have been produced. Environmental pollutions have destroyed nature and it created global warming. This harmful production went for nearly 2 centuries. Of course, it harmed our planet. Those factories created a harmful side effect. At that time, nobody thought about those side effects at all. Everybody kept going with massive productions. Later on, scientists realized those pollutions, which cause harmful carbon dioxide. Factories had to comply with extra filters in chimneys and use alternative fuel, like, for instance, solar energy now or water energies and things like that. It costs money to put this in place because a solar cell is not that cheap. It harmed businesses. In the 1990s, all factories had to follow environmental regulations. More solar cells, more other things like water, alternative energy things. So all factories had to comply with that. Some workers have been laid off due to this, and they cut down on staff due to those expenditures. Everybody has a need for speed. In the early 20th century, food tourism started. Motorization created by Nikolaus August Otto was not fast enough. People demanded faster cars, planes and factories have to be faster. What many people do not know is that first computers were created in 1822, which is surprising. Those computers were very slow and huge, like a building. A proper informatic team had to look after those intense and complex computers. A computer is a general-purpose device for logical operations and arithmetic automatically. It is very precise and has very good memories, which normal humans cannot achieve or will never ever achieve. In World War II, computers were big as like a normal living room. It had been used for military applications. As you can see, computers got smaller and have higher capacity in memory. The name of those computers are mechanical analog computers. Informaticers and engineers started to dream of personal computers and robots controlled by computers for a huge purpose in factories and industrial usage. It will be cheaper labor and precise in productions. In 1962, Pier Giorgio Perotto, an Italian inventor, created magnetic card system. This system was a very good intervention to create even smaller computers, which we call personal computers. Those PCs took those typewriting machines away. They've been completely replaced. Type machines have no memory capacity and you cannot change what you typed. If typos occurred, the whole letter had to be rewritten again, which is annoying. Imagine you write letters and letters and letters and you realize there's a mistake and then you have to rewrite the whole entire thing again. This is the problem with typewriters, and it costs a lot of money for big companies to keep those employees going and paying them, and also paying those papers and everything and filing them, and you have to keep filing them in big shelves and archives, so it's a lot of space. But if you have a PC, a computer, a personal computer, you can store all those informations and data into the computer disk or CD-ROM or things like that, and you have not so much shelves and archives anymore, and you don't need so much space to put all these letters in. For companies, typewriters were a waste of time. Type machines disappeared in 1980 slowly. Businessmen wished to have a computer on their travel. Japan created laptops in 1990s. Toshiba was the first company in Japan which created laptops. Due to computer pioneering and developments, which goes on and on and on, robots took over in car factories. Those robots can be controlled by those fast computers. Life of Homo sapiens, which we know collector and hunters, developed into a new dimension. I strongly agree that Homo sapiens are electro-sapiens in this 21st century. Everybody, and I mean everybody, has a smartphone now, MP3 players, tablets, iMacs, computers, sat-navs, and other gadgets. Computer is part of our daily lives. Even when we do shopping or whatever, we could use our computer. It is shocking how dependent we are on the computer, satellites and gadgets. Due to this increase of speed and fastness, all those companies which is dealing with food and every life products have a huge demand to constantly keep up. Farmers cannot keep up with demands of food shops. They have to rely on biotech now and hormonal growings. Biotech is a chemical substance which helps the farmers to grow their vegetables, grains and crops faster. Unfortunately, it is cancerous, as I know from some people I was talking about. Biotech, if you breathe that in daily, if a farmer is next to your house and you have a garden and you sit in the garden and you breathe in, it's a pollution, air pollution, and it causes cancer. So you have to be careful not to breathe that in. So just to let you know, unfortunately, this is how it is, and farmers have no choice in all of this. Population is growing due to better medications and that people live longer now, better food, better things on tables, and people are getting older now. Computers and robots are used for operational theaters in hospitals now. Those operations becoming more advanced and maybe in the future even risk-free, but at the moment it is just a bit lower. that patients are dying on theatre tables. So if you have a operation on your abdominal, or you have an operation anywhere, is risky due to the bacteria or germs which you could have in hospitals. It's never 100% free sterile, so always 99.9% is a risk. No, there is no risk, but one risk only, that you could die on there. But really, be honest, if we compare that to the past, every operation which has happened in hospitals, people were sometimes dying on tables. So now people are becoming older. Even in cancer patients, they have chemotherapy, and now they can survive cancer, which is shocking. In the past, in 1970s, if you have Hodgkin disease, for instance, you might not survive this. But now, cancer patients becoming more and more increased in surviving their own illnesses. Then we got antibiotics and immunizations, like now in Ebola, as you know, all what happened in West Africa, which is actually really a bioweapon, and I will talk about it in my next report about this. They try now to create immunization. Yes, well, you can create immunizations, but they also bring side effects with it. The flus and all the things become more stronger. If you try to kill one, it becomes stronger and resistant. So the resistance is always growing in all flus and viruses. Be honest, in flus and viruses we never achieved any immunizations. So if you have bacterial illnesses, yes, you have antibiotics, you take that and it goes away. Anyway, so antibiotics and immunizations against bacterial and viral illnesses help to keep risks lower of massive epidemics. Internet help people to be aware of risks, and they give people information to stay safe. Knowledge is so easy to get access to. People do not die so easily anymore, unless they have traffic accidents. That usually happens and people die in that, but really, you can read a lot of things, what I do if I have this, or how can I prevent things to happen. So you find things very easily on the internet. The risk in order to get really ill and die is very, very low. People do not die so easily unless they as I say, traffic accidents. Usually traffic accidents are the worst things. If you're in a plane, it's not, the possibility is lower to die rather than on a road. Population is always growing. That means we need more resources in food, fuel and other raw materials. In fast food, you will find chemicals, like in chips, in burgers, in everything like that. Too much salt, which they put in, and also too much sugar. You don't need that much salt as a human being, so, and sugar also not. Also they put drugs in it, which a lot of people don't know, like cocaine and things, to make you addictive on this. So a lot of people now struggle with food addiction. It's not their fault, they are just victims by a lot of massive companies like McDonald's, Burger King and all of them. They put, and I'm sure of it, they put some drugs in it so that you get hooked on it and you will eat a lot of it. And the problem with that is, if you eat a lot of unhealthy food, you become obese. And the obesity is rising every year. It costs the NHS a lot of money. It costs in America a lot of money. Obamacare cannot cope with this demand of obesity. It is shocking how much a human can weigh. I heard once that somebody weigh 1,000 kilograms, which is 1 ton, and they are usually bed bound and they cannot go outside or whatever, and they're really restricted in their movements and they cannot get up from the bed even, and They die early, and that's how people die now these days. The obesity is growing enormously. And also it costs a lot of money for the hospitals, because due to this problem they need bigger beds, barrier beds, and bigger side rooms, bigger theatre tables, bigger and everything, so that the person can be properly being operated if anything has happened. It's shocking. And most of them have heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and obesity is a killer in modern lifestyle. So in the past, in 1850, you might have the Black Death illness, flus, and you die with that, lung infections and things like that. You would die in the past. There were no antibiotics, there were no nothing like that. Now we rely on those things, and yeah, there are too many people, so of course they put things into our food in order that we are obese or having heart disease or diabetes, and we die with that early age, because you cannot live long with those type of illnesses. Even energy drinks are very dangerous, and usually they have cocaine in it as well, and a lot of chemicals. There's nothing positive for you in it. It's all for good side effects, actually, to kill you slowly. The food industry relies on chemicals now these days to create more food for less money. The reason for that is to keep population down and create more food by that. Again, keep the population down, because we are too many. We are 6 billion people on the planet, so yeah, that's the current issue and crisis. In 1930, politicians have prognosed that in the future all vegetables and meat will be made out of chemical substances. Even now, some labs can create meat, but they 100% made out of chemical, especially hormones. In the 1980s, hormones had been used for growing animals and vegetables quicker and quicker. Dementia became a growing disease, like BSE, Alzheimer, dementia, and all those things due to these chemical substances in food. Of course, it has a side effect on human beings. If you eat all the time those hormonal substances, chemical substances, it kills your brain cell off, which happens in all those Alzheimer, BSE, and blah 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 illnesses. Everything can cause side effects. We have we have constantly growing mutations now in wildlife, or because if you look at insects, sometimes they are really huge now, and they become bigger and they grow in size. Even insects, every sort of animal, become really strange, and they become bigger and also mix with other animals. So due to radiation leakages, which we have in Fukushima right now, and then we had in the past in Chernobyl, when the reactor exploded. And now around in Chernobyl they found out mutated animals, and also if you look around and if you keep your eye open, it's true, everything becomes bigger in size. And hormonal growing of plants and animals. Look at pigeons, they are now really huge. Look at birds, they are massive. Were they really that big in the past? It is an environmental risk to wildlife. We should promote wildlife and give funds to them. If we continue doing those harmful actions to our nature, the side effect will be horrendous. Already we see those side effects, which I just mentioned. How will it be in the future? For our children. We should live for our children, because our children will be victims if we don't change our lifestyle right now. On the other hand, if we do not use chemical substances, which we now have to rely on, we would have famine. Food cannot go overnight, as we all know, and many people would starve to death. Like, for instance, in North Korea, they don't use all these biotech stuff, and they have famine because they don't use all those, chemical substances, because they don't have the money for this, and many people die there. Anyway, you need chemicals in food to produce enough for everybody on the planet. As I said before, we are 6 billion people. Think about the high number, 6 billion people. And in few years we will be even 12 billion people in the world. How to cope with this number in agriculture is a very, very big question, and we should ask this question each day. Many scientists try to find answers for this dilemma, and it is a dilemma. I hope this report makes you think, and hopefully everybody understands the massive demand, the risk involved on this planet, which leaders has to find answers to and face constantly. We all wish to go back in pure organic food, which farmers produced in the 18th century. Everybody can make a small change, and I mean everybody can make a small change if we grow our own vegetables in the garden, like carrots, herbs, pears, apple, whatever. Grow your own organic food, then buy organic. Try to help those shops who try to do organic. I know it's a lot of money when you buy proper organic food. They do cost a lot of money, but on the end of the day you promote the organic food, you don't promote the chemical food. Then, I am a vegetarian. I grew up as a meat eater because I'm German and I now live in England. I have been eating constantly meat, and this is normal German tradition. Meat on the table, sausages. We have 1,000 types of sausages. I grew up with sausages, but I was able to change my lifestyle to vegetarian, and I'm sure everybody can do it. If I can, you can. So, as a vegetarian, you will not eat meat. You will eat nuts, fruits, vegetables, soya beans. You can eat fish if you like. As a vegetarian, that doesn't matter because you need omega-3, so that's fine. Nobody needs to eat meat. This is rubbish. Nobody has to eat meat. I've been told that as a child, meat is very important for your health because it has iron, it has calcium. It's rubbish. You find iron in spinach, you find calcium in lettuce. You really don't need meat, because in food there is enough protein. If you eat nuts and all those things like nuts and seeds and cereal bars and things like that, you will have enough protein, and nobody has to eat meat again. Eat nuts, oats, cereal, vegetables, soya beans, and you will be fine. If we all stick to this, and become vegetarians, sorry to say so, we will fight against all of this problem with meat and horrendous torturing of animals and space where we have to put the animals in order that we feed those people who eat meat. If we don't have to do this no more, it will be much, much better and sustainable as well. So it is all about changing lifestyle and not follow others. If others say, oh yeah, the meat is so important for you, it has iron, it has calcium, blah blah blah, don't follow it. Everybody has their own independence and have own opinions. So really, do you really have to follow everybody? If everybody jumps in the water, would you jump? Just stick to your gun and say, I'm a vegetarian and it's fine so. Thank you for listening to my show. As I said before, share my knowledge with others and build up your own views and opinions. Do not follow the mass. Create your own lifestyle. Nobody has to follow everybody. Be yourself and enjoy your life, and be honest. You don't have to follow the media, you don't have to follow the people, you don't have to follow your friends. If they do what they want to do, fine, they can do what they want, but everybody is unique, so everybody has freedom. Please take care, be safe and be prepared. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my 4th show. I hope everybody still enjoys it and have fun listening too. Be honest, I like sharing my views and opinions to others. I feel there should be more people like us out there. As I always say, knowledge should be freely shared to everybody. Please open your own websites and YouTube sites and upload your own shows and reports. BBC and CNN and all the other medias do not show different views and opinions of events happening around the globe. It is always one-sided. This show will talk about scientists and their pioneerings. As I said in my 3rd show, scientists are very important so that economy is sustainable in every country worldwide. Without science, we would have poverty and famine. I will explain the reason for this. This show goes in depth about science and how is it linked with economics. First I will go into history and then I will mention the current scientific interventions which scientists set up. Let's go into the past, 1850. In 1850, Germany had a very strong economy and Germans were well off due to their interventions. Before 1850, farmers had to use horse and carriages and their own hands to harvest their grains and crops. It took hours for picking and looking after their fields. The demands on shop were growing and growing. Populations seemed constantly to rise and increase. Farmers could not keep up manually. Nikolaus August Otto in Germany invented engines, which was extraordinary development. Farmers can achieve more for less time. Business wanted more cars, vans, tractors. Business in Germany was great and sustainable. New developments cut labor and cheaper for productions. Factories in industrial areas have been built due to engines. More production and again less labours. Coal, chemical products, iron and steel have been produced. Environmental pollutions have destroyed nature and it created global warming. This harmful production went for nearly